I think the Nations League's important for countries like Scotland, but the international break is nearly over. But I don't mind it. And to be fair, we've had a good one. We beat Croatia and we beat Poland. Didn't quite end how we wanted it because Portugal failed to beat Croatia. But it was a successful enough break for Scotland. But I don't mind it when the international break comes along because it's important. But I completely understand why fans of countries that qualify for major tournaments on a regular basis, so whether you're an England fan, a Germany fan, a France fan, a Netherlands fan, I would understand why you dislike the international break. Oh, do we have to do this? I completely get it. And usually that is reflected when I speak to my friends and, the international break will be finishing up and they'll be saying, oh, thank God club football is back. None of that. Nothing. They're not bothered. And I think that summarizes how grumpy it is around West Ham at the moment and how little people are looking forward to the game against Newcastle on Monday night. The fact that we're coming out the international break and there's very little excitement usually, because usually there's a little bit of something for it. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching live, please get your thoughts into live chat. It could be about anything West Ham. We're going to have a little discussion around the reports that some players want to leave in particular and see what you're all saying in live chat. So do get your thoughts in. If you're watching it later on Tuesday night or Wednesday or something like that, please put it into the comments underneath the video. Let's see what you're all saying. Tomorrow I'll be back with the podcast with Frankie. Anyway, thank you for watching the videos over the last few days whilst one has been away. Let's see what you're all saying in just a second. But while I was away, I thought international break, nothing will happen in the world of West Ham. Of course, something will happen, always does. The reports that Guido Rodriguez wants out and wants back to Spain. Now, it's very fair to say that I've never really been Lopetegui's biggest fan, nor will I be. But I don't really put this one on him. I think this one's down to Rodriguez and Rodriguez only, really, if the reports are true. But it's very easy to believe, isn't it? It's very easy to believe the reports, the talk that he regrets leaving Real Betis. He wants to go back to Real Betis. You see it as a West Ham fan and think, yeah, it's almost harder to think it's not true than it is. And you can understand why he'd want out of here. And I think West Ham isn't great at the minute. But I think it's a reflection of Rodriguez not settling into the Premier League rather than anything to do with West Ham. Because I think there's a few players could have their grievances regarding Lopetegui and how we play. I completely understand. If Jared Bowen, for example, was if our club form is not as good as it used to be because of the way we're playing, I'd say, yeah, that's fine. Rodriguez is one of the players I say, actually, I think the gaffer's been quite kind to you. You've came over here, you've got straight into the team, you've played on a regular basis. Yes, there's been once or twice you might say, come on, mate, you're subbing me after 35 minutes against Chelsea, a couple of games where the tactics have really exposed my lack of pace. But what we're meant to do, we can't build our team around Rodriguez. You can build your team around an attacking player, but not your defensive midfielder. You certainly do not do that. I actually think he's the one, along with like some Max Kilman, where actually you've been treated all right by Lopetegui, to be honest with you. And this is where, I think you can measure lack of pace through data and statistics, surely. I say surely, you can do that. So when we brought him over, those bringing him over would have known how slow he was and how he would struggle in that regards to the Premier League. But for all listen, I like scouting via analysis and data and numbers like that. But as I always say, stats are indicators. I don't think they're the be all and end all. I think they indicate something. You then go and discover what that is indicating. You do your research. The eye test will always tell you more, but there's more to it than that. And that is settling into London. Data don't tell you that. There's no statistic out there to say, oh yeah, this guy is going to love London life. Get him on over. You just don't know. So when the reports came out that Rodriguez wants back, I thought, yeah, can believe that. Part of me thought, no, I'm not having that because you've only been here 3-4 months. It's not really given a chance, has it? You've not really come over and thrown everything into London life and at West Ham and thought, right, I'll give it a season at least. what, 4 months, you've decided you want to go back already. It wouldn't be a great loss, but bearing in mind we didn't pay anything for him, and I appreciate there would have been some money there, but he won't get all his sign-on fee. That sign-on fee that West Ham want to recoup, we haven't paid it all. It gets paid over the duration of his contract. Obviously, the problem is Rodriguez is on a 2-year contract, so you'd have had half of it. But if, let's just say we got 2-3 million back, you ain't doing anything with that. Are you bringing in for 2-3 million? You're not going to. It's not going to be easy to replace him. I think the best way of replacing him is getting Freddie Potts back from Portsmouth, but I don't want us to do that. He's having a good season where he is. Leave him where he is. Let him have the full season. And also, I think it would be unfair on Portsmouth to recall him just out the blue. He's become a key player for them. I remember. There's many examples. I remember there was an occasion at Aberdeen when we had a goalkeeper on loan. He was our number one goalkeeper, and he was recalled during the January transfer window. It was like, hang on a minute, that's our number one goalkeeper just gone like that. That's harsh on that club. You want to establish good relationships with clubs like Portsmouth, and I think leave Potts where he is, but you ain't replacing Rodriguez for a handful of million very easily. Anyway, right, let's see what you are all saying. Carl says, don't have an issue with anyone leaving. However, we won't get the money back on Fullkrug. Rodriguez arguably would make a profit. They both need replacing though. Barry saying he would trade Rodriguez for Finals. He'd love him to come back here. Callum saying, how are we finding content considering how bad we are at the moment? When things are so negative, I struggle as a content consumer. The last few days, we've been doing fun topics, I guess, like the January transfer window, who would you bring in and stuff. And I think when you do stuff like that, it can break it up and just make it a little bit easier. This isn't a plug for Patreon. I'm going to mention a Patreon content, but when we do Naked, I think that helps as well because it's not about West Ham. It's just about life in general. So I think there's some content we do which does not rely on how well West Ham are doing or how poorly West Ham are doing. That helps. That definitely helps. In regards to the negative vibe, yeah, sometimes it does get a bit at times, but we've had some, a couple of seasons of good years where it was just positive, wasn't it? So football's always going to be up and down, isn't it? Cameron saying he was glad of the win last night, and I think it's a good time to part with Clark and Lopetegui. Disappointed with club football coming back. It's been a rare 2 wins for us, hasn't it, Cameron? Percy says the reports of people leaving, the apparent blame game playing out. It clearly points to unrest within the team and the club. Clearly some changes need to be made. Gary's getting fed up every day. There's always negatives about West Ham in every video and every... Hey! Yesterday was good. It was who would we sign in January. That was positive. Mark Noble as caretaker. I guess depends how you want to slice that one up. It was, no one was whinging in that one. You could argue it was negative because I said no, but depends how you want to slice it up, Gary. I'm feeling okay. Listen, is things going well with West Ham? No. Is Rodriguez wanting out? Well, when you want to look at it negatively, I think some people might look at it and think, thank God. I bet you Frankie looks at it and thinks, thank God. We'll see what he says tomorrow. Grant said if players want to go, then let them. I'm not bothered. We're having to reset and start over anyhow. May as well start with players who want to do it for us. I'm a bit like that. Jake says, unfortunately, I think this Rodriguez situation is going to start a chain of players who also want out. Matthew says Rodriguez won't be a huge loss due to his severe lack of pace. But what baffles me is why we let Ward-Prowse and Downs let go of Downs. Ward-Prowse is someone we could maybe recall. It depends on the clauses in the contracts. I would assume not. I'm going to assume we can't recall James Ward-Prowse because there will be a substantial loan fee involved in that. I don't know what Nottingham Forest have paid us. I imagine it's around about 2-3 million. It will cover what we paid PSG for Carlos Soler, I would suspect. But because of that outlay, we won't be able to recall him. And if we do, if Nottingham Forest agree to it, we're going to have to give a bit of that money back. So I think Ward-Prowse coming back would be a difficult one to pursue. But it all depends on the contract between the two clubs, because you need to insert in that contract that we have the option to recall him in January. Not every club loaning a player will agree to that, just like I would hope West Ham wouldn't. When we've borrowed, rented Carlos Soler, I would like to think that we've said, No, you ain't recalling him in January. We can send him back in January, but you ain't recalling him. That's not an option, because what happens if he does really well? Then, as discussed 2 minutes ago, they come back and say, "Oh, have our player back now, thank you." Or you can pay 20 million for him. Which would you like? You're gonna have to pay it, aren't you? You're gonna have to stump up to keep a hold of the player you've got. So I don't think we'll be able to recall Ward-Prowse or Freddie Potts, but I don't know. I've not seen the contract. Sean says, as you know, now felt this would work, but I hate to see us in so much trouble. I feel an opportunity to change has been missed. Yeah, that's me. That's my biggest grievance with the international window. Ray says, I think Lopetegui might be overthinking. It's a simple game. Go out and enjoy. Calvin says, it all feels like players wanting to flee a sinking ship at the minute. Don't think. I think we're missing a bit there. He must push enter on his phone. Curvin order's been a bit naughty, saying Rodriguez makes way for Nana in January. Hammer's chat joke. You would have need to have seen yesterday's video for that one. You don't just skip that bit. I mean, I wish I could have, but I had to listen to him explain it. Stephen says nobody's explaining why these players want to leave. It's all for the same reason. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the Rodriguez. Listen, Rodriguez can't be one thing. I think we can agree. Rodriguez, if he does want to leave, is not because of lack of game time. I ain't having that. If he even remotely whinges, I believe it's because he's struggling to settle into London, which happens. But like I said, I think after 4 months, I don't think you've given it long enough, really. I think you need to give it a bit longer than that to see if you can adapt. It might be that he feels he's struggling in the Premier League. I would agree that he's not up to it in regards to the pace. A very intelligent player, skillful enough in terms of his ability. It's just purely his just lack of pace gets found out on occasion too often. He's not stupid. He's going to know that he's too slow for the Premier League. So I think it's Rodriguez just went out because of that. With Fullkrug, I'm not as convinced by those reports. I think the only thing that makes me believe about Fullkrug perhaps wanting to disappear is that when he's spoken about joining West Ham, he refers to the money a little bit. And it's not very often you see a player join a club and speak about the money. And he doesn't sit there and go, they've offered me 150 grand. It's not like that. He speaks about there being a large amount of money involved because it's a Premier League club. And he's referring to the transfer fee as well as his wages, I think. Maybe more the transfer fee. But you don't move for a transfer fee, do you? I mean, what was that guy in Belgium? The troublemaker. I can't remember his name now. Someone will remember it. He was not leaving Belgium until he broke the transfer record for players leaving that league. But Fullkrug, when he goes, Premier League club, lots of money, he's not saying I left because they paid 25 million. No, that's why Dortmund accepted it. You left because West Ham were offering you a little bit of that. Your wages were life-changing, weren't they? And that's okay, by the way. I've got no problems with that. I think majority of players do move for money. It's their job. But you don't hear majority of players talking about it. Oh, yeah, I went there. All that an offer. So I don't think Fullkrug, I'm not as convinced he wants to leave because what's changed? He can't say he's struggling to settle into London. He's not been in London. He's been in Germany. So he's getting a pay rise to stay where he is in Germany at the minute. He's got cushy at the minute. I imagine with Fullkrug, it's maybe more West Ham wanting to try and force him out the door. So when I see these stories that Fullkrug's unsettled, I do wonder if they're actually coming from West Ham and it's us that are trying to put these stories out there to say someone coming by him. Look, he's homesick. He wants to go back to Germany. Someone come get him. He's available. That's how I see it. Everything depends on what you read and who you believe is what I always say. When it comes to every transfer rumor, nobody knows the truth. You decide. You make up your own opinion. So I believe the one that Rodriguez wants out, and I don't really believe the one that Fullkrug wants out. I think it's maybe more a case of West Ham feel like they made a mistake and want him to Foxtrot Oscar. Would we consider Dele Alli as a replacement? No, I wouldn't. It's a bit of a sad story what happened to Dele Alli, but he's not one for me. Michael saying, what do you think will happen with Ben Rama since Lyon are in trouble and likely need him gone? Well, I think that's what will happen. I think they'll sell him. They owe us a bit of money, but we owe them more money for Lucas Paqueta. So there could be a bit of a deal done where actually we save a bit of cash. So that 9 million you owe us for Ben Rama, we owe you 17 million. We'll give you 5 and let's just wipe our faces. And that's that one. So West Ham could actually do a bit of a deal because let's be honest, it's going to suit us given the uncertain nature of Lucas Paqueta's future. N5 says, if they want to go, then offload them. We don't want anyone who doesn't want to play for the shirt. Tom thinks Lopetegui will turn it round. He's not a bad manager. Collingwood says, on the bright side, Antonio played less for Jamaica than expected. Yeah, because he lost his passport. I haven't kept up to date with everything whilst being away. I've seen that story and I had to chuckle. I thought maybe Lopetegui's the one that's nicked it. You know, hey, you can't go play for Jamaica now, can you? But where is Antonio? Because last week he went to Ghana. I knew that because he met up with the Ghana Hammers and he was doing interviews regarding Mohamed Kudus. And I would say I listened, I didn't. I read an article regarding that interview and what Antonio was saying about West Ham fans and Mohamed Kudus and how he can be a success at West Ham. So where is Antonio now? Is he in Ghana without a passport, or did they come back to England before flying out to wherever they were going to play their game? I do know he lost his passport, but where is he? I don't know. I don't know the situation. I'm hoping one of you do. Yeah, it's good that he didn't play a game, but maybe bad that he's stuck in the country. Joshua says, I have the terminating loan issue in Football Manager. He's loaned 3 goalkeepers. 2 of them stink and can't send one of them back. John said, I haven't got long as I'm out in an hour going salting. Keeping the Cornish roads safe. Oh, you're gritting the roads. Bless you. I was wondering, is this some sort of sport I'm unaware of? Wishing you and your family well. See that Liverpool and Arsenal are still wanting to Kudus. John, thank you. That's a lovely message. Tom saying, Lopetegui, 13 games is nothing. He needs more time. I don't think N5 Hammer believes Tom. Josh says, Rodriguez has been exposed by tactics. He isn't fast, but has to defend wide spaces because of Wan-Bissaka and Emerson being so high. Rodriguez gets exposed to. That's true. I will say that, but I don't know. Mancunian, somewhat sarcastically, perhaps, says, oh no, Rodriguez wants out. Whatever will we do without that world beater? Ralph says, if Terzic has come in, then Fullkrug wants out. That's true. The thing is, he was okay last season. He just didn't play to Fullkrug's strengths whatsoever. Carl saying, could we send Orford to Middlesbrough? Often seen him compared to Carrick, and despite him not doing fantastic there, who better to teach Carrick to 2.0 than the man himself? I'm unaware. They've got a good central midfield, haven't they? Hayden Hackney is somebody that I wouldn't have minded at West Ham. Haven't seen much of Borough this season, I have to be honest with you. I don't think I've seen him once this season, actually. But if you are going to watch Middlesbrough, keep an eye out for Ben Doak, Liverpool player, on loan at Middlesbrough, Scottish, someone that will actually play for Scotland as well. Oh, there's not been many Scotland players when I watch them play make me lean forward. So we've got good players, but they're grafters. McGinn, McTominay, grafters, right? Ben Doak gets the ball and just runs at him. He ripped Gavardiol apart. Most expensive defender in the world. Ben Doak had him on toast for 90 minutes in that game. Fantastic. So if you're going to watch Middlesbrough this season, keep your eye out for Ben Doak. Looks like he's going to be a top player. Ross says, Steiden has had a few stinkers this summer. It's Steiden we need to give him time. Chris is saying that 13 games is long enough to realise Lopetegui and that you're making mistakes in regards to Lopetegui and change them, not keep on doing the same thing. That's a bit like myself. Peter saying, with more backroom staff and assistant coaches help Lopetegui? I don't know. I don't know. James saying, is Fullkrug a worse signing than Haaland Scamacca? I'd say so at the moment. I agree. At the moment, yes. But unlike Haaland Scamacca, Fullkrug can change that. Not too sure he will. It's been a very disappointing signing. Aussie Tony says, just arrived back into UK for a family holiday from Australia. Bloody have fun with that one. That will be extra cold for you. Ross saying no point giving Lopetegui time. Even if he gets up and running and we are playing his style of football, the fans still cannot be happy. His teams are always low scoring, pragmatic. Agree. And also, he's got a year and just it's over a half, right? But let's round down rather than up, because we're going to round up. It's 2 years. Let's round down to nearly 6 months. He's got a year and a half up to go on his contract. It's not that long. I appreciate it can get extended if he gets European football, but let's just say it's a year and a half, shall we? It's not that long. I think I'd imagine, right, if you are in charge of squad planning at West Ham United and you know the head coach is definitely leaving in 18 months, when the next window comes round, are you really going to buy players for that head coach? You're not, are you? Because you think that player's got a lifespan of 18 months, unless I can get someone that can work under him, then work under the next guy. And it would be okay if you had an identity, if the club had an established identity. And this is what the role of the technical director / sporting director / director of football, this is their role traditionally. And it's still new to England. I think there's teething problems at various different clubs with this structure. But on the continent, they decide the playing style. So let's take Steiden's old club Bayer Leverkusen. Wolfes decides this is how we're going to play. I'm going to go find players to fit that, and I'm going to go find a head coach to fit that. We haven't done that part. We haven't established an identity. So we can't buy players that are then going to play under the next head coach because, well, I'm assuming and I'm hoping that we're not this is not it. I'm hoping that we haven't decided Lopetegui plays the brand of football we want to play long term. So when we replace Lopetegui, we're going to go get Lopetegui II in. That might be Terzic. We've had Moyes, now Lopetegui. Might as well go get the German version. Hopefully not. But do you get my point, though? How are you meant to plan the transfer windows when you ain't got the identity? Do you need that bit before you do the next bit? It's weird. It feels like we've got we've gone and bought flat pack furniture and just turned to instruction number 5 and cracked on. It ain't going to work because you need to do 1 to 4 first. Wait till you get to the end bit and that drawer that you're meant to put in, it's not going to fit because you've not done the first bit. Anyway, don't know if that makes sense, but I'm going with it anyway. Right, before I turn back to the live chat, please do drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up and subscribing to Hammers Chat. And also, if you're liking what I'm wearing, you might do. It's got a hood, comes with a hood. If you're liking what I'm wearing, you can get these at the Hammers Chat store. Go to hammerschatstore.com, and we've got a different type of jumper as well, which Gonzo modeled a couple of days ago, and we've sold out in some sizes already on that jumper. And so, if you fancy a hooded jumper, it's not. I should say it's not fluffy. It's not hot, so you can wear it in the summer as well. hammerschatstore.com. And also the Jimmy Walker book is out very soon, and we'll be getting signed copies. We'll have a limited amount. We're only buying so many. All the profits from the book go to the foundation as well, but the books we get will be signed by Jimmy Walker himself. So if you fancy grabbing a book, perfect Christmas present for you or someone else, go to hammerschatstore.com. Can't tell you when the books will be delivered. It'll be December sometime, but it will be before Christmas. Anyway, right then, let's rock and roll. Do we reckon Fullkrug will go down as our worst ever signing? It depends. At the minute, possibly. Steve said at the time it was a mistake to sell Flynn Downs. He wouldn't be wanting out if he was still with us. Mark says there's a lack of hope that nothing will change for the better. There's no identity. Davis says change the coach. He isn't right. True says need to cash in on Kudus. He's not happy. I seen he missed a pen. I seen that they got a last minute penalty and he missed it. And I seen that someone, I don't know, I can't recall whom or what his role is, but someone of importance at Ghana has suggested that him becoming the captain and changing to shirt number 10 is why he's playing crap this season. That there's a little bit of spiritual voodoo magic at play here. I'm not too sure. Steve thinks we're going to get humiliated on Monday at Newcastle. If I'm right, do you think he may go or after? I think he gets a Leicester game. The Leicester game is, so we play Arsenal Saturday and we play Leicester Tuesday. It's quite a quick turnaround. So I think you'll get that game. Then I think that might be the chopping block game if he doesn't win convincingly. Aussie Tony saying, can you give a shout out to Sarah Madison back in Australia? Sarah Madison, if you're watching, I hope you're well. Why did you not go with Tony to the UK? I don't know. Major says, other than need a new manager, new stadium, new owner, new striker, and soon a new sponsor. We're doing okay. Yeah. Brilliant. James said, the stupid club had 2 years to find Moyes' replacement. Sullivan goes for Lopetegui and then wonders why we're playing terrible football. He needs to go. Chris says, I wonder Sullivan knows he's overseeing the most abysmal, mind-numbing period in the club's 130-year history. He probably doesn't even care, regardless, being ego-driven. What's that? Smeagol? I don't know what that is. He is. I'm not going to Google it live on YouTube either. Robert said, I am speaking from experience. I did it with a shed, Robert. I did it with a shed. And in my defense, I started at instruction number 1, put the shed up, got to the end, and the door was on the lawn, right? So I'm obviously thinking, I've missed something. Going through the instructions, pre-assembly instruction. What's that? It wasn't even like, it doesn't. Why is it not number 1? Number 1 was start doing this. I began at number 1. Away I went. What I didn't do was a pre-assembly instruction because I wasn't aware of. Now that's on me for not reading the booklet correctly. But I just assumed starting at instruction number 1 was safe. So I then had to try to put the shed door on, hang it, already fitted, and it wasn't right. So you can imagine it was a small triangle. So in one corner it was very flush, too flush, and then as you went away from the top of the frame in the top of the door, it just went. It was only like that much, right? It wasn't that far off. It was bloody irritating. So anyway, I ruined my shed because I didn't do the pre-assembly instruction. There you go. James is continuing to go on about this. 2 years final replacement for Moyes, and Sullivan thinks Lopetegui is the answer. Or B, pick Lopetegui as a stopgap. But why do we need a stopgap? He's clueless. Yeah, see, that's something I couldn't buy into. There was, I don't know, people just scraping the barrel to come up with reasons why Lopetegui was a good appointment, or they genuinely believed it. I think there's maybe an element of both. But one of the reasons as to why Lopetegui was the right man in the summer was that he's a hybrid of what we want in David Moyes. He was the man in the middle. He's going to bridge that gap. And they never really bought into that because what's the point? So you're going to go from style A to style B to style C. Why not just go from A to C then? What's the guy in the middle for? Footballers, when it comes to football, are generally pretty smart. They're generally pretty intelligent players. Doesn't mean they're smart off the football pitch, but on the football pitch, they're bright. I would imagine you can teach them different tactics over the course of a summer, go from that style to that style. I'd imagine most will be able to adapt. But also, this is the thing. We spent 150 million. Sullivan knew we were going to spend 150 million-ish. He knew we had that much money. A lot of the players that we're playing today are new players. So there was no switch of style for them. If against Newcastle, our team is Fabianski in goal, arguably the goalkeeper is the easiest one, unless you're really going to start playing out from the back. Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman, Emerson, Rodriguez, Alvarez. Hang on. Rodriguez, Alvarez, right? Okay, so it's 4-2 to the newbies now. What we're saying, Bowen, Suchek, Paqueta, Somerville maybe, Paqueta, and then Antonio up front. So you've got 5 new players and 5 old players in the starting 11 against Newcastle. And that's without Kudus, but it's also without, say, Fullkrug, for example. So we were bringing in new players. So this whole, we're going to be playing a new way. But it was new players. We weren't retraining everybody. Some of them left. It was new. I didn't like that reason. And even now with the benefit of hindsight, I dislike it even more. Matt says he needs to give our players more freedom so they can play to their strengths rather than wasting it on a boring structure that doesn't really benefit anyone. 2 Up 2 Down says your shed sounds like West Ham. Dismantle team and start again. I'll just put a bit of wood on the inside to cover the gap. To be honest, I botched it. A bit like West Ham. That'll do. Just whack something up there. That'll do. John says all we need is structure. Looking at some of our game, we look lost in no formation. If I'm wrong, sorry. I'm off. I'll stay well and have a lovely. It doesn't matter if you're wrong, John. It's your opinion. You can't be wrong. It's your opinion. Ross saying appointing a transitional manager is absolutely, yes, I completely agree. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at the time. I never really bought into it. It was not for me. Gary saying Alvarez is suspended. No, he was suspended for the last game. He's back. He can play against Newcastle. It's only a 1-game ban, 2 yellows, 1-game ban. So he missed the game against Everton. He missed the game against Everton. So he's back for Newcastle. Kudus isn't. He's missing Newcastle and Arsenal, but he returns for the game against Leicester City, which could be an important one. Could be a very important one for Lopetegui and for West Ham, I guess, because 2 defeats against Newcastle and Arsenal, we're not going to be in a good position, are we? We could be in the bottom 3 or just out it. Neither is particularly great. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Offski. I'll be back tomorrow with the podcast with Frankie. Back a little bit later on in the week with Gonzo for the Newcastle preview. That should be a bundle of joy. If you don't like the negative stuff, I would advise you maybe avoid that preview because I've just been catching up on Gonzo's videos. He's not feeling positive. I'm not feeling positive, but it's our honest thoughts. It's the honest ones. If you want fake positivity, there might be someone that does that. You ain't going to get it here. Anyway, Hamish Chat Store, there you go. Oh, that hat's out there as well. You can't really see it, but there's a hat on there with our collaboration with Oddballs. I'm off skis. Thank you for joining me. Please do drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up, subscribe me to Hamish Chat, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.